Hi everyone, and welcome to our first year experience webinar on course selection. My name is Taylor and I am a senior FYE leader at the University of Guelph-Humber, and I will be your host for today. We're so excited to have you joining us in the fall, and we hope this webinar can provide some helpful tips about selecting your courses for the upcoming term. Next slide, please. Before we start our session, I would like to acknowledge the land that the university is situated on. The University of Guelph-Humber and Humber College is located within the traditional and treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit, known as Etobicoke, the place of the elders in Mississauga language. The region is uniquely situated along Humber River watershed, which historically provided an integral connection for Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Wyandot peoples between the Ontario Lakeshore and the Lake Simcoe/Georgian Bay regions. Now home to people of numerous nations, Etobicoke continues to provide a vital source of interconnection for all. Next slide, please. I would like to give you an overview of how today's session will work. Shortly, I'll introduce the staff running the session. This will be followed by the presentation on course selection by one of our academic advisors, Hilton. And at the end, we'll have a question and answer period based on questions you submit throughout the presentation. A recording of this webinar will be available on our website in approximately a week. Next slide, please. I will be your host for today, but behind the scenes, we have Jean and Owen as our AV technology specialists, and Caitlin, our student life coordinator, as our producers. We will have Hilton, one of our academic advisors, present the session, and we'll have Brenly, another academic advisor, and Erin, a learning support peer, monitoring the chat and answering your questions. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat, and the presenters and chat moderators will respond. Your questions are only visible to our staff. However, we may share your questions and our responses to inform other participants. Most questions will be answered at the end of the session. However, we invite you to ask questions throughout the presentation to clarify information. Now, as we go on to the next slide, I'd like to pass it over to Hilton to begin the presentation.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Taylor. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on course selection. My name is Hilton. I am one of many academic advisors here at the University of Guelph-Humber. And let me be first of many to welcome you and congratulate you on your offer to our university. And we can't wait for you to start your journey with us here in September. Before we can get into that, we're gonna have to pick your courses, and that's coming up very soon. So if we go to the next slide, we'll go over the outline of today's presentations, just give you an idea as to some of the information that we will be covering today. So you're gonna learn about who your academic advisors are, learn about some of the tools that we use and that will be useful to you as students when it comes to coming to Guelph-Humber, but as well as tools that you'll need in order to register for courses, plan out your schedules, but as well as actually getting into registering for courses. And then towards the end of the presentation, I'll give you some important pieces of information that you might want to know, some extra tips that you can do to prepare yourself for course registration, and then we'll open it up to some Q&A. But again, if you do have any questions as we go on, I do have my colleague Brenly and Erin in the chat, answering your questions. So feel free to type in some of your questions there. Any of the questions that come up fairly often, we'll be sure to address those live towards the end of the presentation. But if we go over to the next slide, I want to introduce you to our academic advising team. Next slide, please. All right, so these are the academic advisors and the academic advising team. So we have Kimberly Zammit, who is the Associate Registrar of Academic Advising, Registration, and Records. So she's our boss. We report to her, and we look up to her for guidance. But when it comes to the individual advisors for the programs, first off, we have Kelsey Orlando, who is half of the business program advisor. She advises students' last names A to K. Then you have myself, who works with business students' last names L to Z. Lita Manku works with our community social services students full-time on campus, as well as our kinesiology students. Brenly, as I mentioned, who's in the chat, she works with our early childhood studies students on campus, but as well as our psychology students' last names A to K. Cheryl Nicholas is one half of our Justice Studies full-time on-campus program, last name's A to K. She also works with our BAA Justice and Public Safety students. Then Joseph Italiano is the advisor for Justice Students' last names A to Z. Nazarene, or she likes to go by as Naz. She looks over our media and communication studies program, as well as our psychology programs, last names L to Z. And last but not least, we have Allison Green, who works with our early childhood studies online program, as well as our community and social services online program as well. If we go to the next slide. Also in the chat, we have Aaron, who is actually one of our learning support peers. Now, the learning support peers, or as we like to call them, the LSPs, they're upper year students who've been in your shoes. They've been in that, in that situation where they're learning about the university, learning about course selection, and had questions themselves, but they've been through it. So they're an extension of the academic advising team, and we look to, to them for help as well, because they provide you with the student perspective. They're located on the second floor of the Guelph Humber building. In the summertime, they're here 9 to 3, Monday to Friday. And then in the fall and winter semester, they're here 9 to 6 on campus. But you can also reach them, electronically, whether it's through email at lsps@guelphhumber.ca. But they also push out a lot of social media content on Instagram as well as TikTok. Definitely encourage you to follow them on their social media platforms, because they will be providing tips. I know Aaron right now is creating sort of a series on course selection, so I encourage you to follow that and check that out. Slide into their DMs if you have any questions about course registration. They're there to help you throughout this process as well. Next slide. Now, at this time, you should have received an email from your academic advisor welcoming you to the university, but also talking about the new student guide. And this is it. This is the new student guide. This is basically, a very important tool that we use to help you transition from, most of you coming from high school to university. Think about it as a clock. If we look at it at 12 o'clock, going all the way around, that's where we want you to start. We want you to start at 12 o'clock, and that's by activating your Guelph Humber email. So if you haven't done so, definitely encourage you to do that. And then moving forward, definitely encourage you to continue using that. And that would be your main form of communication when it comes to communicating with staff and instructors here on campus. That's where we'll be sending you important information and deadlines that you have to be aware of to your Guelph Humber email. So definitely encourage you to make a habit of checking your Guelph Humber email. What you can also do is actually download the Outlook app and actually have your email on your phone. So that way, if you're getting any emails, you can check them right away when you're on the go, so that you never miss any important information from the university. So once you start your activate your Guelph Humber email, and that's using your username and login. And at this point, you should have received your username and login as well. The subject would have been important new student information. So if you didn't get that in your inbox, check your spam mail or your junk mail inbox. But you should have received that by now, and you received your login for your email. Now that login is the same login you'll use for something I'll talk about a little later on, but it's called Web Advisor, and that's the tool that you're going to use to register for courses. So definitely what I encourage you to do is, when you have a chance, sit down, click on that blue tile, register for courses, and work through all the steps in there, as it will provide you a lot of information, a lot of resources to help you register for courses. But I'll definitely talk a little bit about some of the tools and some of the things that you should be doing when it comes to registering for courses. But also, once you do that, make sure you check out everything else as well. You're going to need your student ID, especially if you want to use the gym or the library. And you're definitely going to want that. If you're commuting campus, driving and parking on campus, you're going to need to purchase a parking pass. Information about parking is there. And if you want to get a locker so you can store your stuff, your personal belongings while you're here on campus, you definitely want to make sure you rent a locker there. But information about tuition, online learning, using our course websites, and all of our programs has placement opportunities. So definitely would encourage you to look at that information, learn about your placement opportunities within your particular program. Next slide, please. Now, the first tool that other than the new student guide, the next tool that I want to draw your attention to is the program plans. This is something that the academic advisors create, and we use to sort of map out your entire studies in your program, all in 4 years, 8 semesters here at the University of Guelph Humber. So in order for you to find your program plan, you want to go to the Guelph Humber website, guelphhumber.ca. Once you're on that website, I want you to hover over the current students bar at the very top right hand corner. When you hover over current students, a menu is going to drop down. That menu on that will appear on the top left hand. You'll see academic advising. You want to click on academic schedules. When you click on academic schedules, you're going to go to the academic schedules page. And on that page, you want to click on program plans. And once you're on the program plan, you want to select your specific program. So if you're in our community social services on-campus program, make sure you click on that program. We have, again, I know early childhood studies has their on-campus as well as the online, but if you're on the on-campus program, make sure you click on the on-campus program plan. So please click on your program plan that relates to your particular program plan. So there are multiple plans out there, so just make sure you pick the right one. But if you go to the next slide, your program plan will look something like this. Now, I know most of you are coming directly from high school. So what's great about the program plan is that, you know, your first semester is already planned out for you. You look at your program, semester 1, boom, those are the courses that you take, all the ones listed in semester 1. And then next semester for winter, all the courses that are listed in semester 2 are the ones that you take then. Keep in mind, all the odd number semesters are fall semesters, and then all the even number semesters are winter semesters. So you want to just keep that in mind just for, you know, moving forward when you're using the program plan. Now, we might have some transfer students or some students who are coming from high school from an AP advanced placement or a IB International Baccalaureate program. You might have received some transfer credits, maybe 1 or 2. So what you want to do is in your offer package, if you did receive a transfer credit assessment, basically what you want to do is you want to cross off all the courses you received as transfer credits. And then basically with whatever courses are left over from semester 1, those are the courses you'd register for. And then if you've only, you know, if there's only 3 remaining, then you'd want to move to the next fall semester, which is semester 3, and pick the remaining courses from semester 3. And those are only, again, for students that are receiving transfer credits. So for most of you coming from high school, fairly straightforward. You're picking all the courses listed in semester 1. Okay. So when you use your program plan, that will tell you what courses you're going to need to take in the upcoming semester. So for most of you, all the courses listed in semester 1. So now we know what courses we need to take. Now the question is, when are they going to be offered? So you want to look up the course schedule. So if we go to the next slide will show you where to find the course schedules. So again, if you hover over current students at the top there, you click on academic schedules. Once you're on the academic schedules page, you'll click on the course schedules. So when you're on the course schedules, which is the next slide, you'll see this information. So keep in mind, we select courses on a semester by semester basis. So right now we're only focusing on the fall semester. We don't select courses for the winter until November and then for the summer in March. So right now we're just focusing on the fall. When it comes to selecting courses from the fall, we select courses based on the number of credits you have. So for the most part, most of you have 0 credits coming into Guelph Humber. So your course selection date will be Friday, July 12th at 9 a.m. But again, if you have maybe, you know, 1 transfer, 2 transfer credits, you might select a little earlier on Thursday, July 11th. So to keep that in mind, this next upcoming Friday, next Friday, July the 12th, most of you will be selecting your courses at 9 a.m. If we look down here, you'll see the course schedules, again, all listed by program. So you want to click the respective program schedules for your particular program. But if you look at your program plan, maybe not in semester 1, maybe not semester 2, but later on, some of you might have, you will see a general elective there. When it says general elective, you will need to pick from the electives course list. All right, or the course schedule. So on the screen here, you'll see that there is a green arrow pointing to the elective course schedule. So if you see general elective on your program plan, you need to pick from this elective list. So if we click on this, you're going to see the electives course schedule. So if we go to the next slide, this is what it'll look like. So this is all the electives that will be offered in the fall 2024 semester. All right. Looking at the chart from the left, moving to the right, it'll tell you which semester they're offered in, the course code, the name of the course, the section, and the day that the lecture is taking place and the time. Now, keep in mind that some general electives may not be electives for certain programs. So for example, the very first elective there, lifespan development, if you look under it in the yellow bar, it says not an elective for early childhood studies, community social services, or psychology students. So if you're in one of those programs, you can't take that course as a general elective. But also, depending on the course, it might be offered as an online course or a distance ed course. So for example, that course as well, if you look to the right of that under lecture day, it says distance. That means it is an online distance ed course, which would be taught asynchronously on our course websites. So that's something you want to look at as well. But if you look at the other courses, all of them have days and times that are associated with those courses. That means those courses will be taking place in person. When you're looking at the course schedule, it's also very important to pay attention to the section. Because, for example, let's look at the third course on that list, AHSS 1340 American Sign Language. So if you're taking a general elective, you need to pay attention to the section numbers on this schedule because, for example, American Sign Language, I believe, from my understanding, there are actually two sections of American Sign Language, Section 1 and Section 2. But if you're taking it as a general elective, you can only register in the section that's listed on this page. So that's Section 2. The Section 1 of this particular course, so Section 1 of American Sign Language, is designated for a specific program. So if you're a business student looking to take, American Sign Language as a general elective later on in your third semester, you would only be able to take Section 2. You would not be able to register for Section 1. So when you're looking at these course schedules, make sure you pay attention to the section number listed on those schedules. Okay, so you have your program plan. This will tell you what courses you'll need to take for that particular semester. Now you take your course schedules. This course schedule will show you, when those courses are going to be offered. Now, some courses might have multiple sections. You only need to pick one section of that particular course. Okay. So once we determine what courses you have to take and when you're going to take them, we want to now input them into WebAdvisor. And WebAdvisor is the student portal that allows you to do many things. Select your courses one. It'll show you your tuition balance as well. That's where all your grades will be posted. All your final grades for your courses will be posted. So I'll show you where you can access WebAdvisor. So if we go to the next slide. So once you're back at the Guelph Humber website on the main page, if you click on quick links on the top right hand corner, a bar will appear and there will be a couple of things that appear in that black bar. WebAdvisor is the first one right in the middle there where that green arrow is. So when you click on WebAdvisor, it will take you to the WebAdvisor page where you'll need to log in. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see a little red box that says Access to WebAdvisor. You click on Access to WebAdvisor, log in using your credentials. Again, it's the same credentials for your Guelph Humber email. Then you'll get to the page that says Welcome WebAdvisor. Now, here you'll find many tools that you can use to look at your student accounts. It has your tax information as well, your grades, your account information. Student planning, which is a tool that you use to plan out your entire academic journey with us. And we can give you links with more information about student planning, but I want to click on course catalog, and that's where you're going to search for your courses. Now, there are many ways that you can search for your courses. Once you click on course catalog, you can just type in the course code in the search bar, AHSS 1000, and that will pull up microeconomics, for example. But I'm going to show you another way to search for your courses, and there's a particular reason why I like showing you this way is because you're going to get the most information possible about all the sections that you're going to search for. So we're going to click on course catalog. It's going to take you to the screen just to the right of it, where at that point you're going to click on advanced search. If you look down, you can then click sections listings. Then in term, you're going to select the current term, which is fall 2024. And then from there, you're going to input the subject as well as the course code. So if you're taking an AHSS course, that's Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. If you're taking an SCMA course, that's Science and Math. If you're taking a ECS course, that's Early Childhood Studies. MDST is Media Studies. And then BAGM is Business Administration. So make sure you select those subjects, okay? And then you enter the course code. So whether it's a 1000, 2000, 1010, you enter that number there. And that last column says section. I want you to leave the section blank. Even though you know what section you want, the reason why I want you to leave that section blank is that it's gonna pull up all the sections. But you just have to keep in mind that there's certain ones that you can't register for. But what's great is when you do that, it's going to show you again all the sections that are available for that course. So that will take you to the bottom left-hand screen where it will show you, you'll see that blue add button, but it'll show you, when that course is being offered, the term, which is fall 24, whether there's still availability in the status. It'll say open. They'll have the course code as well as the section numbers, the course titles, when the course is going to be offered, as well as the meeting information, which is the day, the time, and the classroom that it's going to be located on campus. And then you'll see availability. So if you see 65 out of 65, that means there's 65 seats that are available and there's 65 seats remaining. As students register into those courses, the capacity will start to decrease. So you slowly will start to see 50 out of 65, 30 out of 65, and it'll go all the way down to 0. And once it's at 0, that means the course is full and we will not be able to select that course anymore. You'll have to select a different section that's listed on your course schedule. Okay, so keep that in mind. So let's say, you decide to take those 3 courses that are that you search there. You click on that blue add button on the left-hand side. What will happen is the next screen on the right. When you add those to your schedule, what's going to happen is that you've planned it. So think about it as online shopping. You've added these courses to your shopping cart. You've planned them, so they're in your shopping cart, but you haven't checked out yet. You need to make sure you check out, but you won't be able to check out until July 12th at 9 a.m. But if we go to the next slide, on the left-hand menu of your web advisor, you're going to click on Student Planning, Plan, Schedule, Register, and Drop. And that's going to take you to the screen here where you see a calendar, Sunday to Saturday. All right. That's where that calendar will show you when your courses are going to be taking place, all in yellow. Now, what that means is if the courses are all in yellow, that means you've planned it. Again, you've added it to your shopping cart, but you need to wait till July 12th to register for your courses. And on that date, you'll see a blue button right above that calendar that says register now. That's where that green arrow is pointing. On July 12th at 9 a.m., you're going to click register now. And then when you hit register now, all the courses in your calendar should turn green or purple. If it turns green or purple, that means you've registered for your courses. The green is registered for a lecture. Purple, generally, if there's a lab associated with that lecture, the purple indicates the lab. Now, if your course stays yellow, that means you didn't register for it. There's an issue whether the course might be full. So you need to figure out what's going on, why it didn't turn green or purple. If it's red, that means there's a conflict. Typically, a conflict means that 2 courses are overlapping with one another on the same day. That can't stay in your schedule. You need to go back and undo that conflict by picking a different section for one of those courses. One way to check whether or not you've registered for your courses is if you hit the print button right above Sunday there, you'll see Sunday, look above it, there's a print button. If you hit that print button, it'll bring you to the next screen. And basically what it'll say registered but not yet started. And as long as it says registered but not yet started, that means you're good to go for the beginning of September. You register for the courses, but you're not starting them until September. So that's one way to check for your courses. Now, if you look again at that main screen with the calendar, Sunday to Saturday, just to the left of it, all the courses that you've planned out that are in your shopping cart are actually listed there as well. Now, let's say one of them, that section that you want is full. You're gonna have to look for another section. So right underneath it, you can see view other sections. If you hit that drop down menu, it'll show you all the other sections for that particular course. Then you can sort of add the new section to your shopping cart and see if it works with your schedule. Okay. Just thinking of any other tips I want to give you on this page. Another thing that you could do is, let's say, a section's full, you took an elective, you picked an elective and the elective is full. Now you have to pick another elective. You're gonna, you want to search a backup elective. So above that register now button, you'll see a search bar. You can quickly enter the course code in that search bar. So again, HS 1340, which is American Sign Language. If you type in that, you should be able to, it'll bring up all the sections for American Sign Language. But again, you need to pick the one that's on your course schedule. So that's one quick way to search for courses when you're on this screen here. Now, if you do pick a course that is an online course, so the online courses won't have a day or time because they're asynchronous, they will appear just underneath your calendar. So if you look just under the calendar there, you'll see sections with no meeting time. You'll see in the yellow there is that course with that's the online course there. So if you pick an online course, it will show underneath that schedule. It won't actually show in the calendar there. So keep that in mind if you do pick an online course. Now, if you go to the next slide, here are a lot of links, and we're going to actually post these links in the chat here, so you'll have access to it. Make sure you copy and paste it into a Word document. So after this webinar, you'll have access to it. The first one is student planning. So if you go to that link there, student planning, it will talk a little bit about what it is, but on the right-hand side, you'll see videos and tutorials. If you click on that, there will be a number of videos and tutorials that will show you how to search for a course, how to register for a course, how to drop a course, and I'll also show you how to fully utilize student planning and plan out your 8 semesters here at the University of Guelph-Humber. The academic calendar, that's the rulebook that we follow. That houses all of our policies, procedures, your program information, but also all the important dates. So that's also the next one, the schedule of dates. So we post the schedule of dates at the beginning of every summer. So since May, we have all the dates, all the important dates up until the end of winter 2025. So important dates such as the first day of class, last day to add a class, last day to drop a class, but as well as your exam period. What I definitely encourage you to do is go look at those scheduled dates, plot those into your calendar so that way you're aware of those dates. For example, the exam period will take place in December. Should have had this up earlier on my screen, but basically for the exam period, what you want to do until the exam schedule is released is make sure mom, dad, your family, your brothers, sisters, cousins do not plan a vacation for that exam period. Because if they plan a vacation for that during that exam period and you have an exam that day, unfortunately, you might not be able to, you might have to reschedule your vacation because you need to come and write that exam. So definitely encourage you to look at the exam period. For this fall semester, the exam period is from December 6th to December 17th or December 15th. About a month before the exam period, so roughly beginning of November, the exam schedule should be released. And once you have that exam schedule, you can plot out all your exams and find out when your last exam is. And then once you figure out when your last exam is, after your last exam, you can go in and plan a vacation, get away, and take it easy at that point in time. But until that exam schedule is released, do not book any trips or plan to be away during that exam period. The course outline is also a very important tool that you can use. Basically, the course outline will sort of give you a breakdown, a description of what the course is, the learning outcomes of the courses, but as well as the breakdown of the course. So, how the professor instructor is going to grade you on each of, the courses. So definitely encourage you to check that out. The course outlines for this upcoming fall courses won't be released until about 2 to 1 week before classes start. But what you can do is you can go to the course outline website now and search for last year's courses from fall 23 and look up those courses just to get an idea as to what that course is, what you're going to be studying on a week-to-week basis and how that course was graded last fall. Course websites. Now, typically professors, instructors will use course websites. They will often host, group discussions there. They'll post their slides there. Some of them will even use the course websites to do quizzes, midterms, maybe even final exams. So definitely go to course link when you have a chance, your course website. We call it course link, and about a week before your course start, you should see your course website there. You might get a message from your instructors saying, this is what we're doing the first week of class. So definitely encourage you to check that out, before going to classes in September. And the last link there is your academic advising contact page. So if you go there, all your academic advisors, you'll see their faces there, but you also see their email, their phone number, but as well as our office hours. We work on drop-ins and appointments. So Monday afternoons, Wednesdays and Friday mornings are drop-ins. You can either drop in person, come into GH 108, let the front desk know, hey, I'm here to see my advisor, wondering if they're free. They'll send us a message, and if we're free and available to chat with you, we'll come out and grab you and come chat with you. You can also drop in virtually on Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is accessible through your Guelph-Humber email. Once you go log into your Guelph-Humber email, the 9 dots at the top, click on that, you'll see Teams. Open up Teams, type in your advisor's name, and you can chat with us there. But even on that page, you can even click chat with my advisor, click on that. And that should only be used during drop-ins. All other times are appointment times. So if you click on the book appointment button, you should be able to book a virtual or in-person appointment with your academic advisor. Appointments open up 2 weeks in advance, so you can plan when you want to meet your advisor up to 2 weeks in advance. So definitely encourage you to make sure you utilize that link there. If we go to the next slide. tips that I can provide for you. Just what I would encourage you to do, go to the next slide. What I would encourage you to do is practice using WebAdvisor right now. You can actually go on to WebAdvisor and start adding and planning your courses, adding it to your shopping cart and building your schedule. What I would encourage you to do is, build your ideal schedule, and then on the day of your course registration, log in at 9 a.m. and hit register now, and hopefully everything goes smoothly. You register for your courses, they turn green or purple, and you're good to go. But with that being said, sometimes it might not go as planned. What I would encourage you to do is create up a backup plan, create a backup section, other sections that you might be interested in taking. So that way, in case, the section that you want becomes full, you can pick up another section. Unfortunately, we can't add students. Your advisors can't add students into full sections. So that's why I just encourage that you look at what other available sections there are. Analogy I love to use when it comes to course selection is think about it almost like Ticketmaster. And over the last year, a lot of people were disappointed because they couldn't get Taylor Swift tickets. But be patient, because sometimes, Ticketmaster, they'll release more seats. And same thing with WebAdvisor. Students have up until the first week of September to change their schedule. So if a student changes their schedule, a spot in a particular section might become open. So encourage you to keep checking WebAdvisor for, if a section is full. But again, just keep in mind that it can get busy. WebAdvisor can get slow. Just be patient with it the morning of your course registration. Again, if you do have a conflict in your schedule, you'll see it that your two courses are conflicting with one another. You need to fix that. You can't leave that there, just because sometimes midterms are going to happen in the same week. And if you have courses that are conflicting with one another, you might miss a midterm. So again, make sure there are no conflicts in your schedule. Other things that you might want to consider is, if you're going to be commuting to campus, whether you're driving or taking public transit, you might want to plan that into your schedule as well. If you're going to be taking public transit, an 8 a.m. class might not be the best idea, because depending on how far you're going to be commuting, you might have to wake up extra early just to make it in time for that 8 a.m. class. Again, if you do have any questions, you can always reach out to our advisor's email account, which is listed there, advisors@guelphimer.ca. They're there to help, but you can also go to that advisor booking page, get your advisor's email. You should already have it, because they should have emailed you already, and ask your advisor's questions. Again, keep in mind for next week, the week of course selection, academic advisors are going to be on drop-ins for the entire week up until 3 p.m. So again, send us a message next week if you're having issues with course selection. We're here to help you resolve those. And our learning support peers are also available. You can message them through Microsoft Teams. You can send them messages on Instagram. You can email them as well. All right. Now, I know I went through a lot of information. I do see a lot of questions coming through in the Q&A. So I want to ask Taylor to come back, and she's going to address some of those questions. She's going to ask me some of them, and I'll be more than happy to answer those for you. So if you go to the next slide.
Thank you so much for all of that information, Hilton. We have had some questions come in throughout the presentation, so we are going to answer a few of them live. The first question is, can classes be added to my plan ahead of time, or does it all need to be done on July 12th?
No, that's a great question. I mentioned this earlier, but yes, you can go on after this webinar, log into your WebAdvisor, practice doing that, and you can start planning your schedule now. You can add it to your shopping cart, so that way it's all ready to go. And then on July 12th, all you have to do is wake up at 9 a.m., log in maybe 5 minutes before, wait till 9 a.m. Comes, and then hit that register now button, and then you should be able to register for your courses at that date and time. But yes, you can go on and plan ahead. Great question.
I'm not available 9 a.m. on the day of course registration. Is that a problem?
It's not necessarily a problem. If you're not available to register for courses at 9 a.m., what that means is you might not get your ideal schedule. But keep in mind, course registration stays open all the way to the first week of September. So, students can go in and change schedules, add courses up until, that first week in September. So again, if you're not on at 9 a.m. on your course registration day, it's not the end of the world, but keep in mind you might not get the schedule that you wanted, because if sections become available, unfortunately, as I mentioned, academic advisors can't add you into full sections, so you're going to have to pick whatever's still available at that point in time.
How do I connect with a learning support peer for the purpose of helping me select courses?
Yeah, great question. So I mentioned you can email the learning support peers at lsp@guelpharmer.ca. They're available through Microsoft Teams, so you can search up learning support peers on Microsoft Teams. You can send them a message there. You can send them a message on Instagram, but as well as if you go to their website, guelpharmer.ca/LSP. I'm going to ask Brenly to post that on in the chat there, but guelpharmer.ca/LSP. You can actually, the button to chat with them is located there. You can also schedule a workshop with them, whether it's, working on different skills, but even a course registration workshop. They're there to help you as well.
How many times per week is each class?
Yeah, so typically a class happens once a week. So if you're following your program plan, you're taking typically 5 courses a week. One course is about 2 hours and 45 minutes. So let's just round up, say 3 hours for each class. So 3 hours times 5 classes, that's about 15 hours of class a week. So you just come to class once a week. Some classes might have a lab that's maybe an hour on top. So that's something you might want to consider, but generally you're coming to class once a week.
What are the orange alternate courses?
Yeah, so if you see a course that's highlighted and the course time, day and time is highlighted in orange, that means it's offered in an alternate format, meaning the professor can deliver the course synchronously online as well as in person. That's why it's important for you to check your course website to see the announcements from the professor. If you haven't seen one from your instructor as of yet, email them, say, hey, I see that this is an alternate course. Can you just confirm the delivery method? But oftentimes it's because professors are delivering them online. So we do have a couple courses that are being offered in an alternate format. So just keep an eye on that course schedule to see the delivery format of all your courses.
Do I need to take electives?
So yes, so all programs, all students will have to take at least one elective. I think the minimum is 3. So every program has at least 3 electives. Some may have more, but if you follow your program plan, it might not be in your very first semester, it might not be in your second semester. I know for business students in your third semester, that's when you take general electives, but look at your program plan, look at from semester 1 to 8, and if you just look carefully, you'll see general electives listed there. And the purpose of a general elective is to give you breadth outside of your program, So, for example, a business student's going to be doing 36 business courses, which is a lot. We want to give you a chance to breathe and, take a course that's outside of business. So that way it gives you, a little bit of an option of studying topics outside of your area.
Which elective should I take?
Yeah, so when you're looking at which general electives you should be taking, make sure you look at the elective schedule. When you hit the elective schedule, the list of electives will show up there. Again, there are electives offered in the fall, winter, and summer semester. What I would say is when you're looking over that list, see if there's one that catches your eye. If it does, what I would say is go to the course outline and read the course outline. See what the course description is. See what the learning objectives are. See what you're covering on a week-to-week basis, and to see whether or not it's something that you'd be interested in taking for 12 weeks during the fall and winter semester.
Are we allowed to take courses from other programs as our electives?
So the easy answer is yes. What I would encourage you to do is talk to your academic advisor. The reason why you need to talk to your academic advisor is because you wouldn't be able to just go onto WebAdvisor and register for that one course from another program. There are program restrictions, meaning that a business student can't go and just register for a media course, and vice versa through all the programs. So you need to talk to your advisor. There's some forms that you need to fill out, and you do need permission to take certain courses. So definitely reach out to your academic advisor. It is a possibility, but there might be some limitations. So chat with your advisor, and they will definitely walk you through that.
When would we know which professors are teaching the courses?
Yeah, so we're in the midst of hiring instructors at the moment. So again, when we say we, I mean the program. So the program chair, they're right now looking for professors to teach the course. So throughout the summer, we're going to be updating WebAdvisor with the professor instructor's name on there. So keep checking web advisor for those instructors to see if they've been hired, and their name will be posted on the web advisor system.
Is the July 12th course selection 9 a.m. Ontario time?
Yeah, so because we are located in Toronto, Ontario, course selection will open up at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you are traveling that day, that week, and you're going to be out of the time zone, whether you're going to maybe, I don't know, Vancouver, which is 3 hours behind, that's 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So just make sure you account for the time difference depending where you're going. Course registration will be taking place at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
How exactly do you fix a conflicted course?
Yeah, good question. So when you register for a course, it'll show up in your schedule, and if it's a conflict, again, it'll be red, and basically two courses are going to overlap. But basically what you need to do is pick one of those two courses and find another section for it and move one of those courses to a different time so that they don't overlap with one another. So that's essentially how you fix a course conflict. If you looked at all your options and you can't find another solution, reach out to your academic advisors and they'll give you some feedback.
Regarding transfer students, I just wanted to confirm that we would follow the date of registration dependent on the transfer credit amount.
Yeah, so depending on how many transfer credits you receive, so typically transfer students, most you would receive either 10.0 or 5.0. So if you receive 10.0, you'd be Tuesday, July 9th. If you receive 5.0, you'd be Thursday, July 11th. Sometimes transfer students might receive a little less. So if you're at 3.0 credits, then you'd select on the Tuesday. But again, even if you're coming from high school, you're receiving those IB AP credits, you might get, half a credit for, one course that you did, and then your course selection would also be on Tuesday, July 11th at 9 a.m.
How do we see our timetable on course or course schedule on WebAdvisor?
Yeah, so if you go to the the left-hand side of your web advisor, when you click on the student planning tab, if you click on plan, schedule, register, and drop, that will take you to your calendar view, and then that will show you your course schedule. But even you hit print, that print button will then create another screen which will list your classes and the dates and times that they're being offered at.
What is the advised or recommended number of classes to take without being too overwhelmed?
Yeah, so the program plan that the academic advisors created is what we recommend for students, especially if you want to complete the program in 8 semesters in 4 years. So that's typically about 5 courses each semester. Sometimes it might be a little different depending on the program, but typically it's about 5 courses. But again, if you know that 5 courses might be too much, or you maybe, halfway through the semester, you realize, 5 courses is too much, you want to reduce your course load, you can. You can drop a course. You can, if you want at the beginning of the semester, you can even start with 4 courses. You can even drop down to 3 courses. You can drop down to 2. You can drop down to 1. But by reducing your course load, it is going to extend the amount of time that you're going to be here at Guelph Humber to complete the courses in order to graduate. So what I would recommend is, you as the individual student knows your learning, your abilities and your own learning habits. So what I would encourage you to do is, reflect and think, hey, you know what? During high school, I was able to do a full course load, no problem. Okay, try out the 5 courses. If you know you struggled with the full course load in high school, you might want to, reduce your course load. And then that's where you might want to have a conversation with your academic advisor to see where you might pick up those courses later on in future semesters.
Do the electives have descriptions so we know more about what the course is about?
Yeah, so you can look up a description for any course, whether it's an elective or even a core course, one of 2 ways. You can look up the course outline on the course outline website. So in order to get to the course outline, click on quick links and you'll see course outlines. You can search up previous course outlines. The description is generally the same. That's one way, or you can go to the academic calendar, and in the academic calendar, you can look at course descriptions in the academic calendar.
What do I do if I accidentally register for the same course at different times or 2 sections at once?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, WebAdvisor is pretty smart. It will actually won't let you do that. If you, let's say, for example, you have microeconomics section 1 and section 2 planned in your schedule and you hit register now, what it'll do is it'll register you for the earliest one in that week. So if section 1 is Monday, section 2 is Tuesday, the section 1 will register first, leaving the section 2 on your schedule. So just make sure that, if that one's the one that you want, if the Monday is the one that you want, then you can leave it as is. You can remove section 2 from your schedule. But if section 2 is the one that you want, make sure you unregister for section 1 and then register for section 2. Okay, so when you hit the register now button, what I would encourage you to do is just review your schedule just to make sure it's all the right sections that you wanted. And not just, once you see the green boxes exit the window, make sure you actually review your schedule to make sure that it's the exact schedule that you want.
When are final exams?
Yeah, so final exams typically take place towards the end of the semester. For the fall, it's in December, specifically December 6th to the 15th. That's the exam period. So your exams can fall anywhere in between December 6th to the 15th. In early November, the final exam schedule will come out. And at that point in time, you can click on the final exam schedule and then actually look at your individual courses and see exactly when your exams are taking place. You might actually finish exams before December 15th. If you do, great, amazing. Enjoy the winter break. We'll see you in the new year. But again, your exams, sometimes exams can go up to the very last day of the exam period, which is December 15th. So for the fall 24 semester, the exam period right now is December 3rd to the 15th. The exam schedule should be released in November, so you'll know exactly when your exams will take place in November.
Is there a way I can give access to my mom or dad to ask questions or add courses on my behalf if I'm at work, etc.?
Yeah, good question. So if you want them to access your WebAdvisor account, you technically can give them your credentials. Keep in mind, not only is the credentials with WebAdvisor, GriffMail, your email, it's we have 2 multi-factor authentication. So you're going to need to authenticate whether you're getting a text message or the authenticator app on your phone. I would say mom and dad would be the only people I trust with your credentials. I wouldn't give it to anybody else, just because I have seen students share their password, their username with their boyfriend, their girlfriend, and later on they break up with said boyfriend, said girlfriend, and they were angry at them for whatever reason. They went back and logged in and dropped all their courses. It has happened, so don't share that with them. If you trust your mom and dad or a family member, you can share that with them to help you register for your courses while you're at work. But just keep in mind that somebody else has your credentials. Okay, so just keep that in mind.
Who do we contact if we have academic accommodations?
Yeah, so academic accommodations, you might have known them as IEPs in high school, but if you had an IEP in high school, you may be able to receive academic accommodations here at the University of Guelph Humber. So I'm going to ask someone to add the link to our Student Wellness and Accessibility department. And through Student Wellness Accessibility, you can meet with Accessible Learning Services. Basically, if you have an IEP, if you had an IEP in high school, what I would encourage you to do is before September, make an appointment and speak with Accessible Learning Services and meet with them. And basically what they'll do is they'll review your documents. So they'll tell you what to bring, what you need to bring. And if you are entitled to an accommodation, whether it's maybe, a private room to write exams, a little more time to write exams, extensions, they will give you an accommodation letter that will list those accommodations. So that's something that you might want to look into if you did have an IEP in high school.
Why are there some sections I can see in WebAdvisor that are not listed on my program's course schedule?
Yeah, so I talked a little bit about this, but again, I just want to make sure it's super clear. What you want to do is you want to look at your course schedules and select the courses and sections that are listed on your course schedules. Because on WebAdvisor, that particular course might have multiple sections, But even though that course has multiple sections, you might not be able to register in those other sections that aren't listed on your course schedule. So you need to make sure you register for courses and sections that are listed in your course schedule. And the reason behind it is that those other sections are allotted for other programs. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind.
Are electives also available in the summer as well?
Yeah, so generally we do have courses that are offered in the summer. General electives, we do have a pretty good list of electives that are offered in the summer. And then depending on the program, there are, some of the programs will offer more courses from their program in the summer as well. So if you do want to take a summer semester, you can, but you might want to chat with your academic advisor to see what that summer semester is going to look like.
Is there a midterm exam schedule as well?
No, so there is not a midterm exam schedule. So what you want to do is review your course outlines, because in your course outlines, your midterms will take place during your actual class time. So on your course outlines, it will actually list, which week your midterm is going to take place in. So that's something to keep in mind. I mentioned this earlier. It's important that you don't have those conflicts because, again, let's say you have two courses that are conflicting with one another. Those midterms could potentially take place in the same week. So make sure there's no conflicts. I even recommend, make sure you don't have courses that are back to back. Because if you have one midterm in the morning and then you have a midterm right after that class, you might not have enough time to prepare for that midterm. So give yourself at least an hour, 2 hours in between classes to get ready for midterms, because you could potentially have two midterms in one day.
If I register for a class section 1 but can't attend for whatever reason, can I make it to the second section to make up for the class?
So when it comes to that, you need to attend the section that you registered for. If you're missing a class, connect with your instructor and let them know that you're not going to be able to attend class, and find out what's going to be covered in that class that you missed. So make sure if you're missing classes for whatever reason, connect with the professor, let them know that you missed it. You were feeling sick, something came up, but let your professors know. Having open communication is very important. So just talk to your instructor, and they'll understand. And they'll give you information as to what was missed in the lecture, but you should be attending the section that you registered for. So if you're registered for section 1, make sure you're attending section 1.
All right, and that is the end of the Q&A period. Thank you all so much for your questions, and Hilton, Brentley, and Aaron for answering those. If we can go to the next slide. Perfect. Thank you. As we wrap up, we also wanted to let you all know we have another first year experience webinar coming up at the end of July, all about student financial services. If you haven't already, you can register on our website or by scanning this QR code here. Thank you all for attending this session, and best of luck with course selection.